Well, thank you for allowing us to come and to give us opportunity again to share. 35 years, I'm not going to talk about all that's been done in 35 years, but like what Graham says, you've been there with us all that time. And we really, really appreciate that. So I just want to say up from the front that just a big thank you for just standing with us, supporting, praying, some coming. But with that partnership, yes, though you may not know it, you actually have invested in and you are partners with 3 other churches in Spain, where we've been able to start churches in areas where there was no church, no evangelical church. And what would like to share now with the PowerPoint, is that going to go up? Yep. Is what we sort of been working, we're still very much involved with the last 2 church plants, but especially with this project called Albergue and El Olivo Albergue, which if you can't pronounce that, just think hostel for pilgrims. And that's what we've been, along with Bedford Church, we've been really involved in for over the last 5 years. So, okay. So I'd like to we're going to go through this, starting off with why the name El Olivo. Now that goes right back almost to the beginning of our time in Spain, when we met on the ship and then we got married, we went to Spain. And down a few, not too long down the road, just seeking, how can we reach out to people? What are the opportunities in Spain? We were living in a town which was a naval base where a lot of young people came from all over Spain at that time, when the military service was still, you had to do it. And so you could just see these young people from all over Spain just walking along, just especially during the night time, generally drunk, but, lost. And we said, we really sensed this was the opportunity to be able to reach out to them. And we opened a coffee shop down in the port area, in the red light area, next to the naval base. And we called it El Olivo, the olive tree. And so that's where the name started. We got that from the Psalm 52, verse 8, where it says, I am like a flush green olive tree, flourishing in God's house, trusting always in His faithfulness and His mercy, which is what we sensed and we wanted our life and our work to be. Spain is a hard place to work in for the gospel. Don't see much fruit, but the fruit that we wanted to see is the fruit that God, and we believe that God could produce fruit and that God could faithfully sustain us during the work. And we've just taken that name on through the many different activities that we've been involved in. Went from the coffee shop through to working with drug rehabilitation centres, to social work, and eventually into church planting, and through 3 churches that have been planted, and eventually now in the same town where we're working with our 3rd church plant in Ribadeo, we've set up the albergue, the hostel for pilgrims. Now, Spain is still quite an attraction for tourists. It's always growing. This year, we've had over 83 million tourists come to Spain. Now, of those 83 million, more than 500,000, when it comes around about Easter time, they put on their boots or their walking shoes, they take up their backpack, and they come to Spain to follow these signs. It could be this sort of like shell sign, or like that shell that pilgrim's got on the back of the backpack, or this painted yellow arrow. Destination, the cathedral in Santiago, which is in the area, Galicia, right up in the northwest corner of Spain, where we're living and working. Now, these pilgrims that come from all over the world, I'm going to talk a little bit more about them later, but we, just seen, like on the pilgrimage, with young people or people coming from all over the world, we've just always seen that as a great opportunity to reach out. They're all seekers. They're all open to spiritual things, spiritual conversations, receiving the gospel. And it's been always a good opportunity we've worked with young people coming to do short-term training, mission training. We've often seen just great to put them to do the walk, the Camino it's called. They can share the gospel, get the experience, work with our churches. And so we got the vision 5 years ago to set up one of these hostels on one of the Caminos, which is the North Camino, to be able to reach out to pilgrims, to have accommodation for the teams that were coming and still come, and to have a place for youth activities, youth retreats and seminars for the churches that we're working with, and for camps. And God led us to eventually to be able to purchase this place. Doesn't look much, and it didn't look much, but that's what we were able to purchase. Now this is where Bedford was, you got us into this problem, because you actually gave us, when you sold a house, a property you had, and you actually gave us quite a good gift to be able to purchase this building with a piece of land as well. And so you got us actually starting on this 5-year project. That's what it looked like inside. When I walked in, I got the vision, I saw it for different reasons. Manoli came back the next day, walked in, and 2 minutes later she was out and said, that's not the place. And but then we drove around the back and she actually saw it from the back side, and she said, well, I saw this very same place in a dream she had years ago. When we were thinking of getting a property for work with young people. And that sort of convinced her, and God opened the door. We were able to get a loan, bank loan, and we embarked on this project, which of course had a lot of work to do. 1 year took us to get all the permissions and the building project done. And 2 days after doing that photo, just starting on the inside work, COVID came in. And so we almost lost a year through the lockdowns and the whole COVID experience. And then after that, again, it was really complicated just to be able to get professional people to come and work, because they were so behind, they were really stressed out. And so a lot of the work we had to do it ourselves, which made it, again, took a lot longer to do. But really thankful to God just for the volunteers who came. Some came from Australia. This was one of the first ones, a young Australian family that came and helped us with some of the initial heavy work on the project. We've had over the years different people come from this fellow. Can I put this fellow here? I'll explain a little bit about him later. Jose, him with several others, have come from a mission that we're partnering with, who are bringing Latins, young people from Latin America, to come and serve in Spain. And this is sorry, word down. This is Victor. He's along with his wife. They're an evangelist. They're a couple working full-time evangelists with us in the church, and I'm working on 2 of the Caminos. But they're often helping just with the practical work. So after quite a few years of just, slowly doing it, from the first photo, this is what it's basically looking like now. It's actually looking even nicer because Manoli's really set up a really nice garden all the way around. But looking inside, we have 2 floors with rooms, bunk beds for the pilgrims, and then we've got a 3rd floor for the volunteers. You can just see the bit of that's what one of the bedrooms look like, and that's what they're looking like now. We have that room where we first came in. That's what it's looking like now. We did use that for a time for the meeting together of the church that we're starting in Riverdale. But now it's at Alberta, it's the room where they eat, and the lounge room. This is the kitchen. Again, that's what the kitchen looked like. And this is one of I said, got up there we got a lot of extras in this albergue because there are other hostels, there are other albergues. It's not that we're competing, we just wanted to have a place that pilgrims could come to and have the experience what they used to experience, and now not so much so because it's become very popular, Camino. A lot of the albergues is just a business, just come, pay your money, sleep on a bed and get up and go. We want them to feel, when they come, feel home. They have a kitchen that they fully equipped that they can use and cook their meals. They have a lot of outside areas where they can just rest and relax. Sometimes they have to stay several days because they come pretty injured and they have to sort of recuperate. That's again just what that area used to look like from the outside. And we give them breakfast, they can wash their clothes, they can, there's a lot of extras and we just have the bottom price, and so they're really, really appreciating it. Along with, as I'm going to explain soon, just their spiritual side and the experience that they receive when they come. Now, last Easter, we eventually were able to have the inauguration, the opening ceremony, which I'm at the end of the message, I'll just put a little short video on so that you can join in with us, because it was a real pity that you couldn't be there with us, because you really played a big part in us to be able to get there and finally open it. We use the place also for groups, sometimes missions, churches, other groups that come. We use it for the youth work, with the retreats for the youth of our churches. And this is the goals that we had, the purpose that we had in mind when we got this place for the pilgrims, also to put up the teams that come, be able to have retreats and activities for young people. This is some of the volunteer team members who are there helping us day in, day out, different ones who have come at different times. Like our family. Now that's just some of you who would like to know a little bit about our family. It's our daughter, our youngest daughter, Rebecca. She's married to Nat, 2 little girls. They just recently came to spend a month with us. They're living and working in Toowoomba. Also, Anna, our second daughter, she's married also, just has a little baby. I just met her just a week ago for the first time, 1 year old. And they're both, along with their husband, they're working and serving in one of the big churches in Toowoomba as well. And this is Joel, our son. He's there helping us with the work, and he's looking after the albergue at the moment while we're here visiting in Australia. Also, this is just the small group that we have, that God has given us to start the church in Riverdale, where there is no other church, evangelical church. And this is our other church family. This is the church in Naron. It's called Agua Viva. Now that church is really moving ahead. It's growing, and it's really supporting and us in many different ways. We get people coming from volunteers. They're able to use the albergue for the youth work. And even though I'm not going to be talking much about this church, because I want to just present the albergue, it's really God is really blessing. We had to move about 1.5 years ago, buildings. We're renting what was before a restaurant and a coffee place and a premises where they used to celebrate weddings. So you come to the church and you walk into just a properly set up coffee bar, coffee shop. So we have the meeting in the afternoon. We open at 5, the coffee place, people come, have their coffee, talk, and then move on into the room at the back, one of the rooms, there are several, and that's where we have the meeting, and it's really just a great blessing, really fits us with the different activities that we have. So just ask you to continue to pray. We're out of our top season, we're now in the low season. It's winter there, and it's cold and wet, and we're still getting some pilgrims, but generally not expecting that many up until the season starts again next Easter, the Easter week. And so just pray for, we're expecting again. This year we had more than 1,500 pilgrims come and stay. And we probably had to refuse at least 2 or 3 times that number. We just didn't have legally the room to take on any more. And every year there's more and more coming. It's not just to give them a place to stay where they feel at home, where they can rest. It's where we can have that opportunity to be able to sow in their lives, share with them of the true way, share the gospel. And we have this book here where like a visitor's book, where they can just write their comments. And I'd just like to just share just some of the many, many, many comments, but it gives a bit of an idea just how the pilgrims respond to this albergue. One says, a little lovely spot on the Camino, came here with a lot of sadness and finally could keep it back for the first time. This is one of my favorites. Because many of the pilgrims come burdened. I mean, they're seeking, they're looking for, they're lost, and they're looking for spiritual answers. Another one says, thank you for your warm reception. And albergue marked a difference for me. It's a wonderful place to relax and enjoy the comforts of home. A beautiful night and a beautiful garden. Thanks for your help. Someone else said, several have said this, a great stay and very comfortable. This is my 5th Camino, because there are other Caminos, and I have not seen any place as comfortable and clean as here. Thanks for everything. To keep it nice and clean, we have to change 13 to 15 beds every day, wash, clean all the rooms, the bathrooms, the kitchen, set up for the breakfast. It takes a lot of work, but we really do it because we want to bless the pilgrims and for them to have this spiritual experience and have the opportunity to talk with them. Another one says, thanks from my heart for being a home for pilgrims with your beautiful albergue. From the moment of arriving, one feels the presence of the Holy Spirit in every detail. So much so that after being 18 days on the Camino, waking up always at 7 o'clock, today I felt so much at home that I woke up at 8:30. May God continue to use you to reach through actions and through His word to the hearts of those who most need Him. It has been a precious gift the night spent here. So we have texts up on the wall. We give out gospels. We have these conversations. We have that couple who are evangelists coming at least half a month every month, and they're continually working amongst the pilgrims, and we're really seeing a lot of fruit. Just another example, this fellow here, just recently came. There wasn't so many, and I was doing the check-in and just asking him questions, where's he come from, how long's he been walking for? And so he was I realized later he was dropping sort of hints, sort of saying, well, I started he's from the Basque country, he's actually from a very, very close country to the gospel, and he says, walked for a couple of weeks, then I had to go back home, stop and go back for a medical checkup. And I've started again, and I'll be stopping here, and I'll have to go back for another medical checkup, and then I'll come back and continue. So later on, I just sort of felt God saying, ask him about this medical checkup. And I asked him, and I said, well, I hope, the medical checkup wasn't anything serious. So he just sort of stood there looking at me. And then he said, well, actually, I've just discovered I got leukemia, got cancer. And so he's doing the walk because he needs to work this through, and he's seeking for answers, like many. And so we talked, and we was able to share a lot. And then at the end, I said, do you want me to pray for you? And usually, and he smiled and said, yes, that'd be nice. But I think he was thinking sort of like the Catholic way, maybe a couple of weeks later, you go to the Mass and put a candle there and do a little prayer. I said, no, now. He looked at me and he just broke down and gave me a big hug and says, pray for me, So this is the sort of openness that we're finding, not in just some, but most of the pilgrims that are coming along the walk. We have future projects. We do have heaters in each room, electric heaters, but we'd like to put in sort of a pellet heater, a central heater down in the main room. That's one of the projects. And this area is the back area, which we'd like to develop a little bit more and set it up for as a small campsite with a toilet block and places where they can put up tents, because we can't put any more people in the rooms inside the vertebra, but we can let them put their tents up outside. And so we're thinking of offering that option for a donation and be able to take in more pilgrims for next year. So that's the two projects that we have in mind. So, yeah, volunteers, the invitation's still out there. Anyone can come just let us know if you want to come for a week or for longer. There's always work to be done, just the maintenance or just looking after just that daily cleaning or, just talking with the pilgrims. They all speak English, most of them, almost 99% of them. So it's not a language problem. Partners, we are looking for more people to join in and just specifically partnership economically with the project, the albergue, so we can continue developing, and of course just ongoing prayer. So again, just thank you.
Stay there, mate. Stay there. Questions and answers. Well, actually, they've got the answers. You've got the answers. So, what would you like to ask them about this?
How many
Beds.
sorry?
Beds.
How many tracks are there? I've got two guys that are doing the Camino, but which one are they doing? I don't know which one they're doing. How many are there?
There's quite a lot, mainly 5 main ones. There's a very popular one, which is called the French Way. And then probably the next popular one would be the Portuguese Way, and then there's the North Way. We're on the North Camino. It's called the North Way, the North Camino. It depends where you start from.
Yep.
So that gives it the different names. But they all go to the same place. They all go to Santiago. So it would be like if you did all of the French Way or the North Way, you're looking at like between 700 to 800 kilometres to do the whole lot. Walking on an average about 25, 28 kilometres a day. Some do more, some do less.
While you're thinking what to ask, I just want to thank you again, because we are very grateful that you have been supporting us all these years, and God is faithful, and He's done marvelous things, and you've really been part of that. And coming back to the church is so beautiful now, not just for the Christmas decorations, which are really nice, but the building looks different. I mean, I don't know what you've done, but even the bathrooms, everything just looks so good. So just wanted to say that, and thank you again for your faithfulness in standing with us.
You half answered. How many beds do you have?
Legally, we can put inside 13, but we have extra beds because when we're in the peak season, it's just sometimes almost impossible just to. We've got up to 21 at a time, some in tents, some in just extra beds. When we have then we have the other floor for volunteers, so there'll be 2 more rooms for them. And so when we have like a retreat or a group comes that's not, it's not like the public, it's a personal thing that we're doing, or private thing, then we can fit in comfortably up to 27 inside. And if we get developed the campsite, we'll be able to have more.
With you, and do you give them a bit of literature when they come?
You mean the pilgrims?
Yeah.
Some, but it's mainly through this couple that work with us, Victor and Rossi, and they actually keep writing to them, some of them, because some of them have made decisions, to follow Christ, and some of them they keep in touch, and even if they've made a decision, like remember a German fellow, they look for a church where his home is, and they will, if they want to, they will give them the address, and it's happened a few times.
So there are other Christian groups working with albergues and on the caminos, some near Santiago and in Santiago, and so there's actually a network. where often one gets referred to the next, and then there's some at the end that sort of try and pick up the ones that have made decisions and do some discipling, and then there's like an application where they can then link them in with different people, volunteers that have worked in different albergues from different countries, and because they come from all over the world, the pilgrims. So this application shows where the country where the pilgrim comes from, if there's a volunteer that had work, it lives there nearby, and connect them. So there is this desire to keep them, to link up.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say is that, we prayed for a long time for the place to be a place that reflected who God is, to people. And we see this when they come. They always comment, it's so peaceful here, or it's so beautiful. And we think, well, there's nothing, it's very simple everywhere, but they really comment on how they feel in a place. And that's something that God has done. And many times people not ready to make a decision or to want to go deeper into the things of God, but it's like you prepare the way because they're walking on this pilgrimage, and there are other Christians along the way, who are also trying to reach to these people, and we are very excited about what God is doing. Yeah.
During the Middle Ages, they used to have a lot of pilgrimages. Now, are there other places in Europe that also have pilgrim points, or is there something special about where you're at?
The most well-known is actually Santiago, it's this one, but you have Fatima in Portugal, and you have Lourdes in France, then you have Rome, and you have Jerusalem. And some pilgrims to go around the whole lot. But this is one of the most popular ones in this recent, let's say, couple of generations. Mainly because of a film. So if you ever want to get a bit of an idea of what it's all about, it's a pretty good film by what's his name?
Sheen?
Martin Sheen. It's called Camino, the Way, and so that made it very famous. And it gives you a bit of an idea of why people, different reasons why people are doing the walk. Some do it, many still do it for the religious reasons, and that's why they actually love coming to, even though we're not Catholic, because it's the Catholic pilgrims. Many are, really disappointed now because they do the Camino looking for this spiritual experience, and they're not finding it because all the other albergues mostly are now just a business. Many of the Catholic churches are closed on the Camino, and so they come and they just love, this is what we came to do the Camino. This is what it's all about.
One last burning question.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one thing to say. We have two pilgrims here today who'll be on the Camino next year, Ros and Andrew. They can report back.
We'll get them to give their testimonies when they come back. Thank you, Manoli and Trevor. That was fantastic. And let's just, as a church engaged in this mission, let's just pray for this ongoing work that God's doing through the house still. Gracious Father, so encouraging to hear what you've been doing. And Trevor's always mentioned every time he's here, it's not an easy place, in a sense, in Spain, for people to find Jesus. And we really thank you for this ministry that you've called them to. We're so delighted to be a little partnership on the side. And our Father, we just pray for those pilgrims that have been through, have had conversations, who are being followed up, that those who made decisions might actually go on to truly follow Jesus and get established in local churches. And for all those future pilgrims to come, Lord, that ones that you will call to that place, Father, that this might just be a real place of light, a place where people do find out the truth about you and actually come to know Jesus and follow him. We commit this to you for your glory, please, in Jesus' name. Amen.